Coming up next, man, I love stories like this. One half of an underrated duo is here with us. They may be the kings of the line that we always say, "Oh, that's who sings that song. I've always loved it, but I never knew who sang it." They're the kings of that. Get this. Today's guest opened for Led Zeppelin as an unsigned rookie, and his duo was so great, the newspaper that reviewed the show said they bettered the Golden Gods of Rock. And not long after that, they put together one of the most successful run of hits of the late 70s. From 1976 to 1978, they had 6 big hits, including 4 songs that all hit the top 10. They're classics of their time, including the first 2 songs that were in the charts at the same time. In fact, their first hit was so good, a young executive from the next office tore through the wall to beg them to sign with his label. They had 6 hits over a 2.5-year period, and then they just vanished. Today, I've got the surviving member of the duo to tell this incredible story. Coming up next on Professor of Rock, brought to you by American Financing. Hey, music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. You know, if you remember your parents drinking Tab or RC Cola, or you drink it yourself, I loved RC Cola, you're going to do this channel of deep musical nostalgia. Make sure to subscribe below right now. Click the bell so you know when our stuff comes out. Also, check out our podcast on Apple and Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Make way. It's time for another edition of our show, Revelations, where featured artists take us for a deep dive behind their greatest songs and albums, stories you won't hear anywhere else. In the 70s, England Dan and John Ford Coley had one of the most successful runs of their time with 6 hits in about 2.5 years.
And I'd really love to see you tonight. I didn't know it would be so strong. Love is the answer. You'll never have to say goodbye again.
Today, I have the surviving member of the duo here to tell the stories of their big hits. It all started when they opened for Led Zeppelin as rookies, and the duo blew the Golden Gods of Rock off the stage. At least that's what the local press said. I'll let John tell you that one. And then their first hit, I'd Really Love to See You Tonight, was such a smash in the making that a famous executive basically clawed through the wall when he heard it and begged the duo to sign with his label. It was a great decision because the song went to #1, even though some people misheard a lyric or two and thought the guys were singing a love song about linen. Stories coming up next. The duo that had 6 hits in 2.5 years and then vanished as soon as the 80s began. It's coming up next on Professor of Rock. Tell me about meeting Dan Seals in high school.
Dan was the member of a band called the Playboys 5. One of the guitar players quit, so I go in, I get the gig. Dan hates me. He didn't want me there. He wants a guitar player. He doesn't want a keyboard player. So it's like he just avoided me, and we just kind of, would sidestep one another. But occasionally we would have to drive to various gigs together. Well, we discovered that we could sing together. And we discovered that we had kind of a natural blend.
Lying here waiting and wishing I knew when.
And literally it was Dan and John all the time. We were pretty much like brothers.
England Dan, he got that nickname from his brother. Tell us about that.
We were looking for a name, so we were going under Coley Wayland. I think we went under a couple of other things. We didn't know whether to go with a group name or try to use our last names. And so Jimmy was in town. So he came in one day and he slapped his knee and he said, "I got your name. I got your name." He said, "England Dan and John Ford Coley." We dropped the L from Coley to Coley because nobody can pronounce your name. England Dan has like a little ring to it. And Dan and I both went, "Yeah, that's great." And so we hopped on that.
You guys, in one of your early iterations, you actually opened for Zeppelin.
We did. We were in the Southwest FOB. It was actually the Southwest FOB was pretty much the same guys that I started out with. And so we played in Houston and in Dallas, Texas with them. Didn't get to meet them. They were sequestered off, it was hot as the dickens that night. I think it was an August night. But the cool thing about that was we ended up getting a write-up in both of the papers. And it said, one of them said, FOB flies over Led Zeppelin.
Wow.
And I was doing my first film. And so I'm standing there with Timothy B. Schmidt, because I'm the drummer in the band in the film. Timothy was the bass player in the film. They were talking about people that they worked with. And I said, well, I opened for Led Zeppelin. Everybody's like, no, you didn't. You lying dog. You never, not you, not with, I said, no, back with the band. They go, no, you didn't. And I went, okay, no problem. And I went home that night and I pulled out the scrapbook and I pulled out those 2 articles. And I went back the next morning and I went, guys, see that? I don't have to lie about this stuff, okay? I gained untold respect for the fact that I played with the Led Zeppelin. And then I thought, well, hey, man, played with Three Dog Night too, and Vanilla Fudge. How about that? So we just messed with them.
That's all-time bragging rights. Well, you had a regional hit with The Smell of Incense and it cracked the top 50 nationally.
And the smell of incense fills her room.
Well, when you made the move to L.A., when did you officially become like England Dan and John Ford Coley?
1971, literally just months prior to getting the deal with A&M Records. We were still playing a folk club called the Ruby out in Dallas at that time, under Coley Wayland.
Well, the thing is that you guys had such an incredible harmony together. I mean, you sounded like brothers. That's why those records have stood the test of time. Let's talk about I'd Really Love to See You Tonight.
And I'd really love to see you tonight.
We had kind of a carte blanche into Atlantic Records. Bob Greenberg was really good friends with our manager, Susan Joseph, at the time. And so he would say, no, bring me in stuff. He says, no, that's not quite it, but we're going to get it. We're going to keep bringing it in. And so she brings in I'd Love to See You Tonight.
I was thinking maybe later on we could get together.
And he just kind of sits there, she said. And then all of a sudden there was a knock on the door. Guys come in. He introduces them as Dick Vanderbilt and Doug Morris from Big Tree Records, a subsidiary of Atlantic. And they're talking and talking. And Susan's thinking, get out of here. I want to find out. And so all of a sudden, Doug Morris looked at Bob Greenberg and he said, hey, what do you think of that song? Greenberg just kind of looked at Susan and said, Susan, he says, I don't think that's it. He says, it's close, but I don't think that's it. And Morris said, so you passing on the song, Bob? Bob looked at Susan. She's so dejected. And he said, I'm sorry, Susan, I'm going to pass on this one. Morris says, okay, Susan, we want the song.
Yeah.
That was it. They heard it through the wall.
We both played that game before.
What do? I don't believe in coincidences anyway, but how are you going to argue with that? It's just like, okay.
He wanted that song, man.
Well, he got it. And they did really well by us, too.
Don't want to change your life, but there's a warm wind.
You didn't want to record it, as I understand it.
Nope, did not want to record it. Thought it was more of a feminine song. And both of us felt that. And they kept going, no, we think this is going to be the gateway. Well, the ulterior motive really was not the fact that we didn't really want to do it. It was the fact that we wanted to write all of our own songs and be known for that. Except our songs hadn't sold $1.98 worth of records. That was the big problem, except in Japan and France. And so we finally said, okay. And we pulled together some guys for the demo, pulled together Jeff Porcaro, who used to play with Seals and Crofts, and David Page, who played with Crofts as well. And those guys were in Toto. They became Toto. And then Louis Shelton, who had been our former producer, was in the Wrecking Crew. He came in and he played with us, and it got the deal.
I guess I really just wanted to talk to you.
Let me mention today's sponsor. What if you could delay your next 2 mortgage payments? I mean, how great would that be? Imagine putting those 2 payments into your pocket and finally getting a little financial break. Now, this is all possible when you call American Financing today. I mean, most Americans are putting everyday expenses like gas, and groceries, and other bills on credit cards. Once that debt piles up, there doesn't seem to be a way out. American Financing can show you how to use your home's equity to pay off that debt. Call American Financing before you get to a point where you simply can't make those payments. Their salary-based mortgage consultants are helping homeowners just like you restructure loans and consolidate debt. all without any upfront fees. Customers of American Financing are saving an average of $800 a month. That's like a $10,000 raise. It's a fast, simple process that could really save your budget this summer. Call before you fall into that hole. 866-890-4844. That's 866-890-4844. Or visit AmericanFinancing.net/Professor of Rock. Well, as with most England Dan and John Ford Coley songs, man, on Really Love to See You Tonight, the lush background vocals, they added to the texture and the sentiment.
But there's a warm wind blowing the stars around.
Jimmy Seals played acoustic guitar on the record, right?
He did. Jimmy played fiddle also. We had people like Larry London, all these Nashville cats. The one guy that was on there was a guy by the name of Joe Osborne. He played bass for us in Los Angeles. Good guy, great player. Played with Ricky Nelson. Played with on Bridge Over Troubled Water for Simon Garfunkel. Did all that stuff with the Beach Boys. And he comes into Nashville. Joe, play with us. Play on our stuff, man. So he comes in. He was like, thank you. Nobody will hire me here, man. No, play with us. Just stay with us. And I mean, it was great to have that kind of a connection, especially because you look at all the people that were playing back in L.A., so many of them tried to make their way to Nashville, but it's an entirely different system. So some of them did well, some of them did not. But Joe played with us.
We could go walking through Windy Park, take a drive.
The guy that had the heaviest role for me was Shane Keister. Shane was a keyboard player, was a piano player. Ironically enough, Shane and Dan and I used to play together back in Texas in the Southwest FOB. And then Dan and I left the band, and Shane and another guy kind of came in and took over stuff. But he played the keyboards, came up with that iconic run, that da-da-da-da-da-da-da. That was Shane.
So did you ever hear about the big misheard lyric on the song?
All the time. All the time.
Well, I'm not talking about the linen. I love that one.
Well, my favorite one is I'm not talking about M&M's.
I'm not talking about millennium, and I don't want to change.
I'm not talking about wiggling. I mean, I get a couple I can't repeat in polite company. I just sit there and go, this is funny.
I'm not talking about millennium, and I don't want to change.
I had a friend growing up who saw him later on, and we were talking about songs, about kind of our songs for, as couples. And he said that this was his song with his wife. And I was like, I'm pretty sure the song is about a one-night stand. I don't know if you've listened to the lyrics.
Well, the wife of the bass player in Ambrosia, Shannon, she goes out with us quite a bit. And one night she said, you do know that song is referred to as the original Booty Call song, don't you? And I went, no, never heard that.
See, it really doesn't matter much to me.
Well, the first mix was rejected by the labels, I understand it. What did you end up changing to get the final version?
It was just a demo. So they wanted us, they were a little iffy about it when we came in. And then when they heard us what we did in the studio, then they said, we're doing an album. Okay. We're doing an album now because we know that you guys can pull this off. So we did the album, but they were hesitant first.
Well, the song was huge, went to number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100, went to number 1 on the adult contemporary charts, sold over 2 million copies.
Yeah, Barry Manilow did it. I wrote Barry because I had met him once. He's a gifted man, truly gifted man. And all I said was, I hope it's half as good for you as it was for us. That was it.
And I'd really love to see you tonight.
Pop culture-wise, Anchorman 2, Breaking Bad, Cold Case, American Dad, the list goes on and on.
We've been very fortunate in the fact that a lot of the songs have gone into movies.
Well, I mean, Anchorman 2 and Breaking Bad, those are two big cultural touchstones for those moments.
I love the fact that they put the songs in It's a marvel industry to me. It really is filled with a whole lot of magic.
When it went to number two, I'm always curious. As an artist, did you follow along the Billboard? That used to be such a big thing. You know, it was like it's kind of a lost art now. I don't think people watch the trades as much, but it used to be a thing. You know.
It really was. I mean, my dad kept notes every time it would enter the charts, what number it came in at, where it ended up. I mean, I've still got those notes, all handwritten stuff. When you get one record on the radio, most times, more often than not, they'll give you the second one. The third one, that's harder to get than the first one. And the first one is dang near impossible. So we got the third one. And then we got a fourth one. And then we got a fifth one and and you just sit there and go, okay, I don't know, this is the hand of God or something.
But there's a warm wind blowing when the stars around.
Play That Funky Music is what held it out of number
I
one.
know. Play that funky music, white boy.
There's more of a story to a number two hit than there is to number one, in my opinion.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear you say that.
Really love to see it tonight.
You guys were doing something that really hadn't been done except for the Beatles and a few others. So you had two songs in the charts at the same time, and it was documented in a Billboard that said never in pop history as a brand new recording act duo had their first two singles in the top 40 charts at the same time. That's pretty cool.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you had, Nights Are Forever Without You was climbing the charts, as I'd Really Love to See You Tonight was up there.
I didn't know it would be so strong.
Also written by Parker McGee, two songs written by Parker McGee.
The funny thing about that was that, again, Dan and I really wanted to be our own singer-songwriters. We both wrote, etc. So we had to do this song by Parker McGee. I'm not happy about that. Again, my ego's involved, and I want to be known for this. That song took off. I saw the first royalty check, and I found myself calling Parker up, going, "Parker, hey, buddy, what else you got?"
Yeah.
So we can continue to play if you feed us some good songs like that.
Still dance with the wind and the sky.
Well, Nights Are Forever Without You. It's such a catchy song. I did see I can't remember, it was like a top 10 somewhere that said the best songs about insomnia, and it was number one.
I didn't know it would be so strong.
It's one of those songs where you hear the chorus, it just hits, and it's just one of those sing-along choruses, man.
Yeah, oh yeah, it is.
I can't stop thinking about you.
Well, it went to number 10 on the Billboard Hot 100, number 4 on the AC charts, charted very similar in Canada, or charted as well. And it was kind of cool because at the same time, you guys had two songs in the top 40. Jim Sills with Sills and Crofts had a Get Closer was in the charts.
Get closer to me.
We used to sing for Jimmy and Dash, so we'd sing on Diamond Girl and those other songs and stuff. It was a magical time for us.
Waiting and wondering about you.
Well, there's some great covers too. Buck Owens did it.
Summer nights spent thinking of you.
Bob James. Well, my last question is, looking back on your life, what are you most grateful for in this moment, looking back?
That I got to do it. I mean, I look at the number of people that, again, had more talent, more capability than I ever would. We got to make it, and they did not. And it's something that I don't understand. So I have a great appreciation for the journey. The journey was, I wish everybody could do this. If you could have any sense at all to play to an audience and then having all those people singing your song back to you louder than you're singing it, what a thrill. You can't describe that.
Hey, make sure to leave us a comment about this classic duo from the 70s. So many great stories. That's some of my favorites here is when somebody has a run of hits and then they're just gone. It's just a cool little pocket in time. Share your memories of this below. I would love to hear about it. These guys had so many great songs. We've also got the story behind their other hits. If you want to hear that, let me know. If you like our content, we invite you to subscribe. We'd love to have you as part of our community. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.